didn't even realize there was a bonus session for the Time to Rise Summit. I had already, after the three main days, I had recorded a video about when motivation fades, like when we go into the hype and then what tends to happen and how I deal to that. And then the day after, there's a bonus session. I didn't even realize there was one. So I popped in halfway through. I had to go because I already had other commitments to attend to. And yeah, then I just finally had the time to just like reflect. I went back, caught on, and sat with it properly. And here we are with what's going on. And yeah, I just wanted to like all the previous videos that I've shared. And I think this one is more like a lot of people skip this one, maybe because they didn't know about it or the I don't know, I just thought it was extra. They've gotten the main core thing. But it was more having that this wasn't more, it wasn't giving more content. It was actually kind of like, what do you do now after the whole event has ended now? Like, what do we get to do? Like, how do we integrate this and stuff like that? I think that was kind of like the premise of the bonus session. So yeah, moving forward in this video, like the other three, we'll be putting out 10 gems that I got, that landed for me, that what he said, the notes I took from it, and how I'm applying it or how I intend to apply it in my life. And at the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing the core thread that goes through around the three main days and how we can and what we can do generally to start um actually start using it moving forward. What we can then do to kind of like practically do that. So let's get into it. Let's get into the 10 gems. Like always, made my notes, made my reflection, and then we're going to like really process with this. So the first gem number one, he said in that bonus session, he said, change doesn't happen through understanding. It happens through conditioning. I'm going to say that again. Change doesn't happen through understanding. It happens through conditioning. What he was what he said, what he was teaching us in that sense was that he made it clear that insight alone it's not going to rewire behavior. Knowing something doesn't mean you do the thing you know. You can have all the knowledge. And I think that's one thing that for me personally in the past is like I'm just there collecting all these things, but I wasn't actually applying them. I wasn't actually using them because of the stories I was telling myself or like not believing myself. But he's now saying for it to actually work and land, it happens when we start doing that conditioning. Remember the story he shared about the monkeys and like how they had to condition them? The same thing is like conditioning through repetition, emotion, and action. That's how it lasts. That's how it becomes ingrained in us. So knowing something doesn't make for me like knowing something doesn't make me better about it at it. It's repeating it differently does when I'm doing the repetition of the thing, like conditioning, having those daily reps, the daily activities that I'm doing in regards to whatever it is that I'm trying to condition it, whatever it is I'm trying to embody. That's where the gold is. Because I've in the past thought that, oh yeah, yeah, like understanding something, thinking that that would change something, and but I'm still in the same space. It's I'm still in the knowing, it's actually when I change. That's it wasn't what actually changed me wasn't a breakthrough. It was what I did, those small things, those small activities I did again and again and again that then felt boring at times. Felt like, oh, what's the point? But that's what actually did a thing that the confidence started showing up for me. That all those things that happened, not before, it's after doing those daily repetition work. So it's so key and powerful that like you could see a lot of people were like so grabbing and like making notes and stuff like that. But if after the event those notes are just kept away and not utilized, not used, nothing's gonna change until we start doing the work that requires a change. So understanding doesn't do it. Conditioning yourself with the repetition, with the emotion, and doing that stuff. That's what, and the action, that's what makes the change. That's just one. We really just got started. All right. Gem number 2. He said, your state controls how you think and what you do. So, with that, like you shared before, the state is your the emotion and physical state, like determines what you're thinking, your decisions, and your action. And this is so key, especially like, when you're just kind of like, oh man, things are not working out for me. Uh, I I don't know, like whatever that feeling. If you're in that state, how can you be productive in that way? How can you be creative or think thoughts in that kind of like low state? And the notes I put under that statement, he said, I put down, I don't feel because I don't know what to do. I feel when I'm in a low state. When I'm feeling down, I can't think. I'm in that, oh, sorry, or pity me, like, oh gosh, things not working out, life is this, da 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 state. But when I change the state, things happen. Like when I felt miserable, when I've everything in that sense felt impossible. I couldn't do anything in that state. Like I was feeling sorry for myself. But my mind created the problems that didn't even feel real because of how I was feeling in that space. But once I shifted it, even slightly, like, and that's the thing, people think it has to be this big thing. It could just be kind of like even an eyebrows raise. Like, mm, that's a state change. Like, like, even breathing, like you're slouching. Hey, like that, like subtle thing. It doesn't have to be massive, big. Stop, like getting up and uh thing, because that slight thing opens up options that you couldn't see before, or for me anyway. Like when that happens, like, oh, suddenly, okay, we're sharper or we're more focused or whatever that thing is because of that state change, because of that. And the thing is like nothing ever changes externally. I did. That's the key thing. Once we work that, does the magic start happening. Gem number 3. He said, the language you use trains your identity. Ugh, gold again. And when he said this, like he said this previously, like during the main days, what Tony was what he was teaching here, he was warning us against our identity, the language you use. Like when people say, "Oh, my anxiety is like taking me off of like oh it's just who I am," and actually, what that's doing is reinforcing the belief, it's reinforcing the story, and it's like just having those neural pathways like locked in on this story. Um, so when we're like I shared before, knowing someone who like, oh, all my issues because my identity was stolen. that story kept being reinforced every time they shared it. And so the evidence and the things that were happening in their life was like, yes, you see, this is why everything I do is there. It is happening. Okay. So it's knowing, like the notes I put down under what he said here is some of the biggest blocks live in the words I've said casually. And I got conflicted with this one. I had to like reflect on this because I know that my like okay, being dyslexic, right? And I've known that I have identified not certain situations, especially in those low states and things like that, because of what I've associated with being dyslexic. Oh, I've lost that because I didn't understand this or that. Da, 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 da. And then that's kind of like, yeah, my dyslexic. It made sense. But for me, now I see it in a more empowering way. I see it as a superpower. I'm very creative. I think in solutions. I work, and that's because of, I feel, my condition. It's a condition that I have. It's not necessarily like embodied in the identity per se, but so I get when he talks about like when you say, oh yeah, I'm a procrastinator. Oh gosh, I'm never, I'm a I'm trying to think of like a good one, like I'm always late or something like that, but or something that becomes our truth or becomes our story or becomes our identity. Yes, I'm someone who is always late, or I'm someone who kind of like always misses out or something. Saying those kind of things, those kind of languages would then reinforce it. So if I'm using, for instance, going back to my example of my dyslexia thing I was talking about, if I'm saying it in such a way of a disempowering way, then I can see how that becomes the identity. But for me, when I say like my dyslexic, sometimes it's more an empowering way, or it's just seeing it as it's a condition. It is. It's not. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, it's just part of who I am, kind of like thing. So every time I'm describing myself, I was just reinforcing the thing for me. So I stopped kind of like saying it's like it's mine, because when we start using that phrasing, we're actually making it permanent without even realizing it's just what it is. Like, so having that reminder, being mindful of, don't, mind your language, know what you're saying, don't just say things for saying sake, be mindful, be aware, is, yeah, it's very powerful. So it's more, stop identifying with whatever that's going on. Bear with, be careful, stop using, kind of like thing. So yeah, that's gem number 3. Moving on to number 4. He said, perfectionism isn't high standard. It is fear of exposure. Oh my goodness. Ugh, mic drop moment, right? And he was teaching us here that perfectionism is just protection mechanism, not excellent. And it was kind of like perfectionism is just dressed up in, oh, what was that in if you know it, let me remind me in the comment section. It's gonna come to me. Planes come now. But it's kind of like it's that protection. Protection wasn't, and the protection is not moving us forward. It's not, it's just keeping us hidden. Thinking, oh, I just um let me uh let me be ready before I do anything. Let me just get this thumbnail right before I show up. Let me figure out what this is. Then, oh, the grid needs to look great. It needs to look, a certain way for everything to kind of like flow, or whatever needs to kind of like show up. All those things is, oh my goodness. I remember when I was like, I wanted to like I was doing, when I was doing Instagram, starting off, I was like, okay, let's take this thing seriously and everything. I went on to like figure out a cool, and then it got to the point where I had, you know, you have this feeling of like, let me put something out there, like, oh gosh, this is, I just want to share this because just, you know, like an idea comes to you and it's just like, whoa, somebody needs to hear this. And like you want, and you look at your grid, like, no, that's gonna mess up. No, I'm doing post picture this and this, that. So this is not gonna, and then I'm just kind of like, didn't put it out there because it's just gonna mess up what the grid looks like. It's just gonna like affect the whole thing. I got to get to a point like, you know what? Forget this. The person who needs to hear this gets to hear this, because if I'm going to like, oh, what this thing looks like, ain't happening. So I got to a point where I just like, you know what, forget about what, if this, if I'm following the look or whatever. I'm like, look, this is what I want to talk about, this is what I want to post, and that's what gets to look like. And I just started doing that. Because if not, it would have been a case of like, oh, I need to wait like for 2 or 3 more posts before I now do this. Because listen, I was, I had me at the perfectionism badge, which I've just let go. And if I was doing the perfectionism thing here, it would have been a case of I wouldn't have been able to move on with this daily streak of posting or yeah, uploading videos here. It just wouldn't have been, because if I was waiting on, oh, let me get everything right, let me do this, let me, mm-mm, mm-mm. It was a case of like, let's just show up, even if like in the early stages, like let's just talk about what whatever, what to talk about, and like just figure out like, if I was like, no, I need to know what the next 10 days of conversation gets to look like. I need to have all these things done. There'll be no way then it's gonna show up, or there'll be no way that this would have like be a thing. Because if you really look at it, for me, it was just, I was just trying to feel safe. I was just walking, like trying to, the protection of self is like, oh, what was showing up for me? And that's how it was. But the moment I allowed myself to be imperfect, did the momentum start showing up? Did that came back? And that came the belief of like, okay, let's just like, we're doing a thing, than having to like, oh, it has to be like this particular way, or it has to be this. Yeah, let's just let go of that perfectionism, because it is just protection, really. That's what that is. It's not doing anything apart from that. It's just our brain protecting us than anything. Just wants to keep us safe. So for that safety, we then hesitate to do stuff and then feel like, okay, it has to be perfect before. No, let it be. If people don't like it, you move on. Or you like course correct, whatever that is, let go. He said. 5. What he said was, action comes before emotion. And this, oh my goodness, so true. Because the feeling follows the behavior, not the other way around. Have you heard of situation where people have said, oh man, oh, I didn't want to go. But the moment I was there, I was like, let's go. I was in it. I didn't want to go and go to the gym. Someone like, and the moment I started exercising, or I got in there, wow, we're good to go. Because if I wait until like, oh no, let me feel fine and then I'll go. Waiting to feel ready will just keep us stuck longer than the fear ever did. If we're just waiting and waiting and waiting to be ready, we got to take the action. You just do the thing, and then the momentum will come with it. It's like, show up here, Because it was like there were days like, look, doing this for what, almost 60 days. You think it was every single day I wanted to show up? I just knew I had to come on, and then someone up the energy for it. And then once I was in and sharing, cool, we were on a roll. And so it's like, and when you look at like in terms of decisions as well, for me, some of my most aligned decisions were not right the first time I did them. You know, they weren't aligned doesn't mean like alignment didn't come before the action. When I was doing it and course correcting, then oh okay. Now we move. Now we have arrived. Now we're aligned to like go do the thing. So whatever the desire and this is the thing as well about the conditioning. Sometimes the conditioning of whatever we need to do to get the conditioning done might feel like, why am I even doing this? What is the point? And it's, but you get to do it. So it's like, waking up and I like for me now, one of the things I'm trying to condition myself is to be the flexibility and having to do squats. You know how some people squat and you squat down and you have a flat feet down, not like you squat and you're on tippy toes, your heels are high. I want to get to the point where I'm squatting and it's like we're there, low down, just building up the strength. And you think I want to be doing that squat 10 times a day, every single day. Do you think I feel like doing the stuff? Or like, oh my God, you're like, no. But now I'm like, oh wow, Nene, you can bed like that. Like like but once I'm like doing the thing and seeing and knowing that okay, this what I'm working on and like how I'm feeling my knees are getting stronger and like all these things are happening. All those things arrived after I moved. The emotions and the action comes in after. You know what I mean? So get into the action and the emotion will come with it. The feeling, all those things will start showing up and then yeah, we get to do what we get to do. Now we move on to gem number 6. Awareness without he said, awareness without interruption reinforces the problem. And what he was teaching us there, he was talking about our old stories without interrupting them strengthens the pattern. And at some point, explaining the past stops the healing. When we keep reinforcing the story, I love this thing that Joseph McClendon always says, like, we're never too late to have a happy childhood. Like, yes, there have been like some people have experienced horrible things in their lives and stuff included, whatever. Like, it happened. There is truth in that. And when we are saying those story, remember the phrase where your focus goes, your attention flows. You are in that. You keep leaving it, so we have to interrupt it. So even like stories of I'm not good enough, I'm like I never get this or this happened or whatever that is, that story on repeat, we are reinforcing it. We're telling our um default mode network, that radio that's playing in the background of our minds that we're not even sometimes aware of, to go looking for more, like to not go like this is how it is for us, not go looking. That's the ras is then will now go looking for it. The reticular activating system will go start looking. But now we're making this a default mode network. This is how we think, this is how we feel, this is what is going on for us, this is our life. And then we start telling the story. But when we interrupt that thing, like, oh, I'm not gonna stop, or like, next. that interruption is like the brain goes, ooh, when, say you're watching something and then you want to write down something and then you get up and you go to the next room or whatever to get the pen and you get to the room and be like, what did I come here for again? And then you go back and sit down. Oh yeah, let's get a pen. That period of, oh, I need a pen. And then you get up and like, oh, what do I need? I can never say this word right. Oh gosh, there's a void. Sarcoma? Probably not saying it right. But that void, we get to fill it in with what we want. So if this old story that we're saying, this is how I've been able to like do my thing, kind of like what he like shared. The old story is playing, we're saying it, and we're like, no, or we say stop, or you stand up suddenly, or you bring, or like, what? And you're like, no, we're badass. Oh, we're good. Like, we're filling it with like whatever it is that we want. We're interrupting it. And then we're like, oh, yeah, this is what we want to land for us. This is where we're going. And this is how we're feeling. So, like, it's so important that the change doesn't come from the narration. The change comes from the different behavior of like, oh, no, we're not doing that. Oh, no, no, wait. Like, that is what interrupts that. And then we fill it in with what we want. And then we celebrate. Like, yes, we did that. So yeah, so it's even before you even trying to resolve this, we're interrupting it and we're filling it with the things we want. Um, that's how I've been able to reinforce it. He was just sharing more about we need to be aware and interrupt that thing where we're thinking about and focusing on. Yeah, so that one again was powerful. We're now in 7. 7, he said, purpose isn't discovered, it's practice. Oh, people was like, oh yeah, like this is my old story, and now this is a new empowering one that I want, but I really don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, what my purpose here is, like who, like what, So he was saying, purpose shows us through the contribution, through not through overthinking. We don't get to know, like, it doesn't have to be the one thing. It could be several things. When we're contributing, we're supporting. It shows up after we stop searching for it. There is no like in your lifetime, there's one purpose of your life. The purpose in a different scenario, different situation, and how you contribute, how you serve. That's when it starts coming. As a parent or as a friend or as a so like you have different purposes in those different spaces. So for me, when I focus on being useful, that's when I was like the clarity to like followed. I was now able to now, okay, i- purpose for me didn't like ta-da, I'm here, this is what you're here to do, this is the purpose of your life. No. That right. For me, it came quietly through the action and through the doing. I was like, oh yeah, okay. Gosh, this okay, this is what I get to do. This is what I get to do here. And this is why I'm like what I'm like that for me. So don't feel like it has to be the one thing, is what he's saying, and I agree. Like it's when you are contributing, then it starts showing, oh yeah, this is what I'm really meant to be doing, or this is what another thing that I get to like, yeah, that's how that gets to show up. And we are in gem number 8. Jesus said, Tony said, business is not progress. Man, when he said that one, I was like, the amount of busyness that I have been doing in my life. When you feel like I've been doing a lot of what's that word? Like one of my my friend and mentor, we're always doing in terms of businesses, we're always doing like impact activity. Like how do I say this thing? Like so there's certain things that would make the like move the business going forward, and there's certain things that is just get to do. Like actually like doing having those connections, having those conversation, the impact and the income activities. Like we tend to lean on one thing because we feel like we're doing stuff, but actually we're not. So when he said that, I was just like, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Because activity is not the same as result. When we feel that we're doing stuff or like we're just posting and posting and posting, but we're not actually reaching out, we're not actually connecting, we're not actually doing anything, the sales ain't happening. We might be having a pretty front state, but if we're not doing the things that, but yeah, my diary is filled up. I have this thing I'm doing here, this one I'm doing it. Yeah, but what is the income producing activity are you doing? Or what is the like the impact thing or the connecting or the relationship building, whatever that is for you? Because business doesn't mean we're actually doing anything, you know? Um, because business sometimes feels like we're being productive. And for me, it has really kept me from like deciding. But the moment I started like choosing results, like what's the thing I want to do, and then reverse engineer it, did the rest became like, secondary energy started returning, we're focusing and yeah, sometimes I'm still dancing between like, oh yeah, I'm doing stuff, but actually I'm just doing. I'm not actually doing. If you understand what I mean. Because it's like when you really think about it, it's like, oh yeah, I don't have time. I have so much thing. But when we look at what actually, what's look at the calendar. What has actually been that impactful, or what has actually been the thing that has moved the needle forward? But we've been busy. I mean, I've been busy. Like you really think about it, like, oh my gosh, like this has been going on. Like, but really there's no progression, even though with a business. And it's like, there is no time. I have this, I have this, but yeah, it is a thing. Yeah. Number nine inside British Sign Language. He shared with us that ownership isn't blame, it's freedom. And when he said that, I was like, oh yeah. Ownership isn't so he was teaching us that ownership is responsibility without self-attack. Whatever we're doing, when we can like own up to it, or like when you're having the ownership, it didn't make life heavier, it would make life simpler. When we're owning up to the things that we do, and also he focused more on the business aspect of things as well. A lot of people, myself included, we're self-employed and we feel like we own what we do, but we are time bound. There is no freedom. If I don't work, I don't earn. So even though, like, yeah, you might say I'm self-employed, or I see myself as even I like I've got like a limited company, but still with the nature of the work I do, there is truly no ownership there. There might be like some freedom on like what kind of like jobs I do or whatever that is. That's fine. And I think this is why I'm I love this aspect of the coaching side of things, of creating something that becomes like it's done and then is able to produce itself and things like that. And having that like he kind of like explained it as when you say you're like a coach and then you're having the clients and then you bring somebody else from you and then you're not in the business, you're not working in, but working on it, and it can run without you. That kind of ownership is kind of like where the goal is. But also he was talking about the ownership of how things are, than blaming, oh, he did, she said, he did, my mama did, this, blah, 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 blah. Like, have that ownership of self. Because when you stop waiting for like circumstances to change because this person, the government did this, that happened, da, da, da. And we're waiting on all those things to change, then nothing happening. So for me, when I stop waiting for those circumstances to change, something inside me relax because I didn't need the permission. I just needed a decision. I didn't have to say, oh, this is on this person, or they have to, like, no, it's like, it's on me now to decide what and how and all those things. So it was, it's a very, what's the word? When we can get to that level where we are either in the business side of things that we've created something that is just passive or doesn't really need us there to create like a product, or even if it's physical or digital, whatever it is, that is just there, that's gold. And I think for me is one of those, like, where I'm headed, because there's only so much one can do in a day. Say for instance, for me, freelancing or even coaching one-on-one or and stuff like that. So that's a whole different ball game. Gem number 10. We're coming close. Oh my goodness. So yeah, gem number 10. And with number 10, he said, identity is what you repeat when no one is watching. Mic drop. Moment. Identity is what you repeat when no one's watching. Identity is built through daily behavior, not intention. And this for me, it was just kind of like, wow. Like, I mean, it was a reminder, but it was just kind of like, when he says that, and then you have this flashback of like, do you know what came to my head? I just random, I know it's a random thing. Like when I was trying to like say this, like Oprah came to my head where she said, like, you had a car and you have a car and you have a car and you. I know it doesn't make sense. Like I was there trying to explain identity is what you repeat, and like, Oprah, you have a car, you, you have a car, and yes, you have a car. Um, it's the behavior. So I had flashbacks of all the conditioning I was doing. And sometimes the conditioning I was doing, I didn't even believe them. I just didn't even know them. I just knew that I had to keep doing this thing to get to the other point of believing it or becoming it, of actually doing the thing. There's been so many things where I've just been doing these daily activities. If it's writing 10 things I'm grateful for, or like really journaling down, or just saying stuff, or like when I've shared before about the affirmation and the incantation. The affirmation is just in our mind, our head, or the incantation is like invoking the body and and like that. Do daily reps of that That's what builds the identity. And oh my goodness, that's the thing that when we can come from the intention of what it is, even if we don't see it, we don't have the desire, like just doing that gold of, okay, wow. Because the breakthrough moment, like breakthrough moment fades. Remember, like in the beginning, like the one when he was talking about like, where is that? What is that moment that you be like, that's the thing? That pain is like, oh no, we've got to that point. We're not doing this anymore. Like that breakthrough, that moment, that aha, oh, this is it for me. Like whatever that is, it can only last so long, and then that's it. It fades. But here's the goal. The daily identity work doesn't. Instead, it's reinforcing, it's a conditioning, it's working, it's doing. When real work didn't just happen during the event, like when we're like for watching, like when gone to do like certain things or whatever, it wasn't in there. It was now waking up the next morning. What do I get to do? What am I actually going to start doing now? Like, what's that everyday thing, that muscle building every single day, doing the reps, doing that every single day? Like, how that is then reinforced. Because waking up the next morning now said, like, yes, I'm powerful, I'm valued, I'm this one time, and then think, yeah, we're good. No, it's the reprogramming, the reconditioning of that old story, because depending on how old we are, we lived with this belief for so long, how many years, and then we think in one breakthrough, one aha, one thing, and that's it, we're good. No, baby, it takes the work, it takes the conditioning of that daily activity to get to that point where, oh, we've got this. And it takes practice, takes the rehearsal of whatever activity we're choosing to condition ourselves. That that takes time. That radical shift is the instant. That breakthrough is like, whoa, transformation takes time. Depending on what it is that we're wanting to like work on. And once we work in one area, it's then easier to work on the next thing. And then the next. It's not like, okay, now we're gonna take forever again to condition the next thing and the next thing. No. But it's about taking and doing um the conditioning work to support us to that which one. There you have it, the 10 gems from the bonus session, which again was powerful, it was great. And as promised, I'm sharing like the thread. So if I was to pull out across the initial 3 days of the Time to Rise event, like though and this bonus session, the event really wasn't about motivation. And this is the thing, even though people feel like there was a lot of rah rah, da, 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 that was just to help with the learning, to activate ourselves, to really get us focused, to help with the state, to get the body in state. It wasn't necessary. And that's why sometimes when you watch the thing and then you can see some people just kind of like everybody else is this and is thinking, oh no, I'm not too hype. You don't even have to go like that, or like just a bit of state change reinforces the message. We're encoding ourselves, like I like to call it, as a neuroencoder specialist, elite neuroencoding specialist, by the way. Um, yeah, the event was never about the motivation. It was about responsibility for our identity. And I think that's the key thing that a lot of people feel like, oh, This is the life I'm dealt with. This is how it is. Um, you know how they used to say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Listen, like research and examples have shown that that's not the case. Whatever situation, whatever things that we believed about ourselves and about how things are and what's going on, that can be reprogrammed, that can be reconditioned, that can change. Once, like when we do all those things, so taking that responsibility for our identity, that we have the power to decide what it is, we get to do the work that requires for it to happen, and for it to then take course moving forward. Because day one, all it was about was just waking us up to where we are, what we're doing, how things are, what like what it where because if you don't know where you are, you don't like your situation, everything, how are you gonna figure out where you're going to? So day one was all about waking us up to the situation, to like how things are, what's going on, how we see things, and all those different things. That was day one. Day two now was where the challenge came in of thinking about who we think we are. So we've woken up to the aware, oh, okay, this is on me now. Now the challenging of our thinking. Who are we right now? How are we? What's the deal going on? That's what day two for me was like, okay, now let's challenge who we think we are. And let's work on that. Let's focus on that. Let's like get that. Then day three now. Now we've woken up to it. And now we're challenging our thinking. Not all to this new thing that we're deciding how things are going to be for us. Now let's rephrase the struggle, what that means. Reframing the struggle and the meaning. Because pain is inevitable. Life is gonna life. But it's the meaning we give to the life in that is key. How we get to rephrase those things, how we get to start putting those things in place. You know? So day three was about like, now let's start doing the work. Let's start reframing all the struggles that we think we're having, and let's start figuring out what meaning we're giving those things. And the bonus session was all about now removing that safety net, because now we think, oh no, okay, no, it's like, go, let's do this, let's get this down, let's do the work. We're not going to be cushioned anymore. It's now or never. We've got one life to live. This is a time for us to do the work. So he was like, baby, gentleman, sir, ma'am, it is time to go and do the work, to stop relying on whatever that is. We're woke now. We know what's up. We've challenged how we think. We've created a whole new identity, a new story for ourselves. Let go of the old one. We've reinforced it. Now we're rephrasing what's the meaning we're giving of our struggles or whatever that is. We've rephrased like how we see things. So now it's go time. The bonus session was all about like no more cushioning, no more like safe jacket, whatever. Get into the trenches. Let's do the work. Let's move on. Let's do this thing. So if you keep asking yourself the same question in a different way, who are you after the event ends? Like, okay, it's ended now. What do I get to do? Like, who am I? Um, were you after like when no one's clapping? How are you dealing with this right now? What's going on? And who are you repeating into existence every single day? You have to now start checking that every single day. Who are you? What's this thing now? What you're enforcing? How you showing up? When no one's clapping for you, what's the deal for you? How is that? Because for me, the bonus session wasn't hype. There was no hypey in this one. For me, it was more grounding, especially if you watch the when we had to do the incantation. And like he said, you don't even have to understand it. You don't even have to believe it. You just have to like embody it. Because the work is not about attending the life event. The work starts now. The work is now we doing the work. We've gotten the awareness. Now is go time with the repetition to really solidify that identity for ourselves, to really push our thing. Because now the work lives in the repetition. The work lives in what we get to do to repeat and anchor and strengthen ourselves to make sure we do that work. This is where the work's at. This is where it is. So if this series has stirred up something for you, that's like, ooh, there's like the excitement, but I mean, even if you set up something for you, even if it's not excitement, and even if it's like honestly, if you are in that point where you're like, oh, I can't stay like this anymore. I, you know, I need to kind of like figure myself, and you're open to conversation. I gotcha. This is not fixing. This is not convincing. Just clarity. Let's just have it. Like let's chat. I have the Canonly candid the link is there down below. Pick a time. Let's have a conversation and just like see where you are, see what's up. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, stay close as I'll be expanding this. We'll be going deeper into what's going. And if you've loved this, I know I'm giving so much call to action at the end. Do like this if you've gotten this far, click on the like button because we do this every single day. My name's Nene. Remember that your voice matters and it's your time to use it. Bye for now.